Okay. Hello. Dang, game is actually kind of loud. Hold on. Game is so loud. Okay. I don't know if that'll affect audio or anything, but I'm just making, I guess, like a little primer to movement with Spider-Man. I'm kind of doing this on like my shitty computer, so like I don't know if like I don't know how well this will like turn out in terms of visuals, but it should be pretty fun. So I don't really have any credentials. I just play a lot of Spider-Man. It's my favorite character in the game, so we're gonna kind of just talk about this. So basics with the character. You've probably already seen this one shown a lot. Really, the only really like everybody says like, oh, you need to have this certain option, this. The only option you really need to change with Spider-Man is just like this auto. Okay, hey, so quick intermission. I lied about that part. That in our settings options here, that was the only useful setting. I had to like come back on because I was thinking about it in post, and I was like, that's kind of wrong. That's kind of wrong what I said there about like the only important option being automatic swing. Automatic swing being off is still important, as we'll talk about later. But I kind of want to just talk quickly about the other options. Hold the swing. I'll talk about it later in the video, but I guess I'll talk about it now. I think it's personal preference. You can kind of do whatever you want with it. I think that hold swings is better for me because it just allows me to kind of, it gives me more accuracy with my movement. I think when I release my web swings, because like obviously web swinging is like it's like a pendulum motion, right? So being able to control where you release on the pendulum, right, or where you release on your web swing allows you to better control the amount of horizontal speed you get, right? So there's that. Let me see. Hold to wall crawl. I keep this one on. For me personally, this is a personal preference thing. Obviously, like depending on how you play, you can get used to it, right? But I feel like with this one, it kind of high-key gets me killed a lot more than it does like help me out, right? Because usually sometimes I'll get stuck onto them like, oh damn, I didn't want to wall crawl, what the fuck? And then like I just get stuck on there and I die, right? Because I didn't intend to do that. Also, I think it's just similar if you played Overwatch. It feels similar to Genji, right? I just like that. Pull to run on walls. For this one, some people like to turn this off. I know some people keep this off because like they think that like running on walls is like always the thing you should do. I can kind of agree with that to some extent. I think sometimes though it is better to be able to like have like the ability to kind of control like if you want to walk or crawl, right? Just for like more accurate wall crawling. I keep it on. There's like maybe I don't think it's objective that like it's better to keep it off just because you always want to be running. Obviously you move way faster when you're wall running. I don't know. It's a personal preference thing. I think some people will like it. I just keep it on. I don't know. It depends on you guys. I don't really think it really makes so much of a difference, but I mean obviously you want to be wall running, right? And then direction of wall crawling. This basically just means, do you want to wall crawl with your WASD keys, or do you want to wall crawl depending on aiming with your mouse? I think aiming with your mouse is really weird. So maybe if you like it, you do you, but I think it's just really weird to aim with the mouse. I prefer aiming with my WASD keys. Displaying the attack range, this one is pretty simple. Basically, when you get close enough to an opponent, and you're in attack range, they start to glow red like this. If you turn this option off, you don't get this anymore. So, I mean, just keep this on. Like, there's literally no reason to, like, turn this off, because it's literally just, like, information. It's just free information. And that goes for, like, every single melee character. It's just free information for when you can attack them and you actually hit them, right? And then, this is probably the biggest one. Also, allied health bars. This is just on by default. Just keep this on. It just always allows you to see your ally health bars, right? So it gives you more information. Get over here targeting. This one is actually kind of important. Oh, I didn't mean to run into that. This one is kind of important. Okay, sorry about that. I have to make sure I was like correctly getting that. But like basically, last option, right? As we're kind of showing right here, this is get over here targeting. Basically, the long and short of this is that like I can like basically tell you is that like with your web zip, right? If you can't, this is like kind of more an advanced thing. Like if you do your right click, right, and you press, oh, I should probably turn off cooldowns right here. But yeah, if you do like your right click and you immediately press like your regular, like it's usually just bound to E on keyboard or keyboard or mouse, right? But like if you do this and immediately, if you do that and if you do like your right click and immediately shoot out your E, right, you basically will just pull the opponent immediately, right? Let me just kill it right here to kind of show you. Saw it already right at the beginning. It just immediately pulls your opponent to you, right? Which can be problematic for your targeting, right? So some people, I bound mine to R, as you can kind of see here in the settings, right? I bound my other pull key here to R, so it just allows you to basically, it just is like acts as like a precaution to just allow you to not like do. It just basically acts as a precaution to stop you from like pulling your opponent rather than zipping towards them when you attach this to them, which is pretty useful. So there's that. And outside of that, yeah, that's really the only options I really want to talk about. Obviously, you also have crosshair settings and stuff too. But I just kind of wanted to like talk about that because there were some that I think needed a little bit more kind of nuance to them. Also, I forgot targeting sensitivity while aloft. Just keep this on 100, right? If you turn this to 1, right? Or actually, I'll show you right here, right? If you have regular targeting, as you can see, the targeting area for you to like do your zip is pretty generous, right? But if you bring this down to 1, right? If I bring this down to like 1, right? You see already I have to be like extremely accurate, right? If I go any farther than this, I'm not hitting there, I'm not hitting her. I'm even hitting like a pull in that area, right? So it's like, just turn that to 100. Usually when you're like hitting someone with like your E after, you're only gonna really be hitting somebody once with this, right? You don't really need to like have like the super high sensitivity or like low sensitivity. I don't know. You don't really need that, you know? You don't really need that. You don't really need that. Anyways, that's what I really want to talk about. Just an addendum. Anyways, back to your regularly scheduled programming. Automatic swing. Automatic swing is on by default, and it's kind of troll that it is, because as you can see right here, automatic swing basically just makes it so that like your swing just automatically grapples onto like surfaces for you, which sounds kind of okay at first, but then like when we kind of start to like explain like different mechanics that Spider-Man has, you can kind of see that like, for example, right, I can't really like aim my webbing, I can't really aim my web swing on like specific surfaces or areas. So like every time I try to like aim onto the ground, I just go upwards, right? And similarly on like, let's say like bigger, or like, how should I say this, like kind of like curved roofs like this, you see I'm mashing shift right now, I can't swing, right? I said on curved roofs, I should have said lower kind of like rooftop areas, like kind of ceiling areas, you can't like really move, and like you can kind of see how like automatic swing becomes a problem, right? So you just want to turn this option off. It doesn't really do anything for you, right? Once you turn off automatic swinging, you can kind of almost already see like the immediate change in just like the fidelity of your movement, right? How well you're able to move. And also, as you can see right here, moving downwards, you get a completely different swing animation, right? Completely different swing. So we'll kind of talk about this. In fact, I think it's probably the first thing we really should talk about. So the mechanics of the web swing, generally speaking, right, there are two different modes of like web swinging that you get with this ability, and it depends on where you're aiming when you have automatic swing off, right? So if you're aiming like at kind of like eye level, right? So like it's kind of like hard to like describe, you kind of have to get a feel for it because like obviously this is a third person game, but like if you were to like kind of bisect the world into like a 50-50 high-low, right? If you're aiming at or above that line, right? So like if I'm aiming slightly above this, right? I go into a swing, and if I'm aiming like at like a higher roof, I go into a swing, right? As you can see, oh dang, I'm about to kill myself. As you can see, Spider-Man's mobility is insane when you're swinging. His mobility, right, and the way how he moves is primarily and mainly, it's really only controlled by your movement with the mouse, actually. So like the way how you move your camera is the way how Spider-Man will direct himself when you swing, right? This is like a pretty important thing. Like WASD movement, as far as I can tell, maybe somebody else can like kind of clue me into that, doesn't really change how you move when you're mid-swing. However, when you release your swing, right, so let's say, for example, I'm holding W when I do this, right? Let's say I'm like just swinging like this. I'm holding W when I do this. As you can see, I just kind of like, well, obviously I turn my camera there, but as you can see, I just kind of like move forward. But if I hold back, like on the S button, right, I'm playing on PC if you can tell. If I'm holding back, right, it's kind of hard to tell if you look here. If I'm holding back here, as you can see, my movement kind of like halts for a little bit. So your WSD movement post swing, right, does affect how you move like after the swing, right? So it's important to kind of like understand how that works, especially if you're doing like earlier releases in your web swing, kind of like this, right? you can like halt your movement a little bit quicker, right? Stuff like that. Outside of that, right? We have actually, oh my gosh, sorry, I didn't like script this at all, so I'm just kind of going off the dome. But once you aim lower than like this kind of midline that I've kind of talked about, right? If you aim lower than this midline, right, and you just aim like at the ground, for example, you will do what I don't think there's like really a terminology for it yet. I call it a web zip, kind of like from like the Spider-Man game, right? From the PS4, PS5 Spider-Man games, right? It's a web zip. I'm just gonna call it that. Basically, you zip directly to your location rather than swinging, right? As you can see, you get kind of locked into this like really long kind of flip animation, which we'll talk about how to cancel that later. But like you get locked into this when you do it. It's really good. I think this is really good for like mid-combat movements. Like for example, right? If I'm fighting these guys right here and I want to like kind of like get close to them and kind of like do like some damage, I can like do a web zip like that. Just like ascend onto them, right? Like rather than having to like go like, oh, I need to swing and like do this or do all that stuff, right? You can just like, right? You can't really like control how well you move there. You can kind of just like zip to them, do that, something like that. I don't know, just like a little thing like that. Now let me think. What else did I kind of want to talk about? I think that's really all there really is to say basically about that. I would say like, I guess like if we're going to talk about like other real tips, learning how to I use hold to swing if we're going back to options. I know like I said that like options didn't really matter too much besides automatic swing, but like this is just depending on you. But I use hold to swing. I think it just like helps me like better, like basically I like let go of shift to like release my movement, right? So I think it's better for just like in general just like timing your swing so that like, for example, right, when I want to like swing and I want to release my swing to get like maximum horizontal speed, like in like the middle of kind of like the swing, I think it's easier to use hold to swing. He has other options for wall climbing too. Wall climbing doesn't really like have too many like techs really. It's just like, yeah, you wall climb. There's not much else really to it. So yeah. Anyways, we'll kind of talk about like movement next, or advanced movement techs, right? So I think probably like the most basic one, I think probably the most important one to understand is just animation canceling in general. This is especially true for web zipping because, as you kind of saw me do, you probably saw me do it like a little bit earlier, but like for example, it's probably not the best example here. But for example, you can cancel your uppercut, or you can cancel your swing into your uppercut, right? And your uppercut carries almost all of your momentum. This is really useful during your swing, where you can just like kind of cancel. It's much more useful during your swing because, for example, you can also cancel into your web shooter, but your web shooter doesn't really add any like extra speed to your swing, right? And it's also, you can also just like literally just release normally, right? Or, well, that's a full hold release, right? Just like those little animation. But like, you know, you can just also regularly release to just carry momentum, right? You can also, obviously you can cancel it with like right click if you want to like shoot at someone, right? So if I'm like flying in, I want to like shoot at someone, right? You can do that. Just like going for the kill. But being able to do this with your uppercut is useful in particular because it allows you to basically do like drive-by like web swings, right? For example, if I'm like going like this, right? I can like drive by my opponent and like go back on them. I don't know, that wasn't really the cleanest thing ever, but like you kind of get the application there. It's like it allows you to carry your momentum significantly harder. Oh my gosh. It allows you to carry your momentum significantly harder than you would on just like a regular normal hold, right? So as you can see right there, just flung myself to death, right? But that's kind of like the basic application for that, and it can get really useful if you're doing rollouts, for example. So like if you're trying to roll out of spawn and you're trying to just like go really fast and like keep your momentum while also trying to gain some criticality. There's also that. There's also like another tech. One of my friends, they kind of like figured this out on Venom, but like it's kind of weird. I don't know like how, if they changed it or not, but like if you're on like certain curved surfaces, it's easier to show on Venom, but like you actually boost yourself upwards, right? If you try to do a swing, I would like that, as you can see right there, kind of like that. It's kind of weird and finicky to use. I think it's based on like how you're positioned next to the surface that you're trying to swing on. I think it like the tech sign tries to push you upwards. So like if you want to try and learn how to use that, I recommend it. It's kind of niche and it's a little bit finicky. And obviously like in a match you're not gonna have like, obviously in a match you're not gonna be able to like, you're only gonna have like free charges of this. So like wasting a web swing charge can be kind of problematic. But that is a tech that you can do with that. I don't really know what to call that. Maybe like a web vault. Let's coin it. It's called web vaulting now. Let's call it that, bro. Okay. So outside of that, outside of the little momentum, the animation cancel we talked about, there's also a little bit more of an advanced animation cancel tech that you can do, where you can b-hop. I kind of fucked it up there. I fucked it up again. Yeah, but essentially, right? Essentially, basically, you've probably seen this already. Some people have been starting to show this already, but you can do what is essentially a b-hop, which is like basically with your web zip, right? Aim it onto the ground. You want to shoot out, right? Your web swing. As you approach the ground, you want to shoot with your right click, and then as soon as you hit contact with the ground, you want to jump. You want to do this so that when you jump as soon as you make contact with the ground, not earlier, right? So like, for example, right, you don't want to get a double jump, because doing a double jump will just kill your momentum, right? It will just kill your momentum, and it will just kill all of the horizontal speed that you get, right? You want to do this so that when you web zip, you shoot, and then you jump as you touch the ground, right? You can kind of see it because, like, obviously the double jump animation and the single jump animation are distinct. You do a flip for double jump, you just do a regular hop for your single jump, right? Right, if you do it too late, you just like don't carry momentum. And you can chain this multiple times. I'm not really like the best at it, right? Because I haven't really been practicing it too much. I can like do it like a little bit consistently. A little bit. And I'm not like, and as soon as I say this, I'm gonna like start fucking it up like 20 times over, right? Yeah, but like something like that. You can like kind of carry your momentum. You see I kind of slowed down there, right? I think like the speed of it, I have to test it out, but I think it depends partially on like, it basically depends on how close you release not only like your web shooter from hitting the ground, but also how quick, like how close you are to the ground when you jump, right? So it's like, it's basically like the later you do everything, the better. I think that's like the general way to kind of describe it. So like if I do this really late into the animation, I don't fuck up like anything, you will probably be able to go farther. I can't really tell you the exact mechanics on it. That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like, at least to me, while I've like experimented with it, right? Obviously, you know, you can kind of come to your own conclusions and like, you know, test it out. But that's kind of how I feel about it. I think it's like a really cool tech, and like it's really useful just for like in general, just like moving really quickly across the map, especially in combat. I think this is like probably the best application for it, right? Being able to like quickly, like just, you know, kind of, I should probably show it over here, but like let's say I'm at 30 meters, right? Now I'm gonna fuck it up for like 10 more times. Oh my god. I almost want to like just cut this out. 4 times a charm? Yeah, cool. So you can do something like that, for example, right? You can fly in, do an uppercut, something like that. Obviously, you can also do like uppercut from swing too, but like this, I think, gives you like a little bit more control over like where exactly you can, where exactly you land with the uppercut. Whereas with like swinging into uppercut and canceling it, right? You kind of just go flying, right? Which is good for like different things, right? So outside of that, what other tech can we really talk about? Trying to think. I guess like a little bit more of a niche tech. I recently started learning this. I haven't really practiced it yet, but I probably need like something to swing on to show this. But for example, I can't really show it, can I? Damn. I can actually probably do it over here. Essentially, if I've seen this like done sometimes on like other streams of like good Spider-Man players like Necros, right? But for example, I can like, where's the bot spawn here? I think I just would do a team up ability, you know? But for this specifically, right? If your E, right, this pull ability, right? It pulls actually, people think that it pulls like a set distance. It doesn't actually pull a set distance. It pulls to your location while you're swinging, right? So let me just kill the bot here and kind of show you this. But one of the applications that you can use this for, right, is if you go into a swing. Ah, dang. I have to like do this like really low to the ground. If you do like a swing into uppercut, timing for this is so particular. I wouldn't be surprised if it took me like a while to get this, but let me see. Maybe I'll just like put a clip on it. I don't know. I'll just like keep on doing this, and then I'll cut it out in post once I get it. I'll just do that.
One eternity later.
There we go. Woo! Okay, yeah. I'm not gonna do that again. That took me like a minute of trying to do that. But obviously, if you practice it, you'll get better at it. But yeah, basically, I like I said before, right? when you pull with E, it doesn't actually pull a set distance. It pulls to your location when you do the E. So you can basically, if you combine the tech that we talked before about like swinging with your uppercut, right? Canceling with uppercut, right? Or swinging with your swing. What am I saying? Swinging, then canceling with uppercut, right? And then turning around and going into E, right? And pulling someone, right? You can basically kidnap people, like, essentially. You can just kidnap people and bring them into your team. This can be, like, DPS, this can be, like, tanks, this can be supports, right? Basically, anybody that you're able to do this to, you can just, like, kidnap them and just bring them to your team, which is a really, really useful tech. I think it's, like, it's really high skill, but it's also extremely rewarding. It's, like, probably one of the best, like, CC tools in the game. I feel like it's probably, like, one of the best, like, I guess, like, CC type things you can do in this game, because it just allows you to basically just take an opponent and just kidnap them, right? And just take them to your team, which is really broken, right? Obviously, like, the lower, I guess, like, mechanics version of this is that, like, you can just, like, literally just, like, take the opponent and pull them off the point, right? Or just pull them off somewhere, but, like, you know, we're all about tech here, so that's something you can do, right? And, outside of that, I really don't have, too much else to say, really. Like, obviously, there's gonna be, like, more stuff that kind of comes out with this character, right? Especially when it comes to, like, maybe animation canceling combos, too. Like, there's already... If you've played, like, in, like, previous betas, you already knew that, like, people used to, like, animation cancel using WebZip, but I don't really think that's as pertinent anymore, since, like, they made it so you can just cancel uppercut into a lot of stuff, right? So, it's not, like, really as useful as it was before. I guess, like, if there's one other tech I could show that's not really movement-based, as you can see there, if you do, like, your double jump attack, and then, like, you do, you can kind of see into the scoreboard here, but I did damage with, like, my melee there, right? If you do double jump attack and then, like, cancel it into your uppercut, right, it basically does an animation cancel. So this is, like, the regular damage of... Let me show it with a full HP bot. So, like, this is the damage of your... Oh my god, no, bro. This is the damage of your regular double jump attack. This is the damage of your uppercut, right? Now, if you combine the two, I'll, like, for real clarity's sake, I'll damage this guy, right? So that's the damage of both of those individually, right? If you do your double jump, right, and you cancel it, right, as you can see, it does double damage. I don't really know the applications for this yet. I'm imagining, like, the best way to use this would probably be, like, maybe in, like, a combo like that, right? Where you do, like, you do, like, your right click into your E kick, and then you do, like, double jump uppercut, right? It can definitely do a shit ton of damage, don't get me wrong. It's just, like, it takes some time to set up. But, you know, there's animation cancel shenanigans like that you can get away with, right? Surely there's something people will figure out. I'm not, like, the end-all be-all on this stuff, but yeah, that's, kind of all I really wanted to really talk about, you know? The just, like, kind of collecting stuff day one. I feel like as, like, more people get advanced, I feel like this stuff is probably gonna get, like, more kind of collected and, like, kind of, I don't know, I guess, like, archived for more Spider-Man players to learn. I think it's honestly, if you know tech, talk about it, because one, it's really cool, and interesting, right? I think to just, like, kind of collect tech and show people kind of, like, what you can do on this character, because I think it just builds, like, an overall better Spider-Man player base, and it makes the character look way cooler, like, when we go into matches and we, like, fuck people up with this character, we're like, oh, this character's fucking broken, like, what is this character doing, right? It just makes the entire player base, like, way better on this character, right, for this character, and people will eventually find out cooler stuff on this character, right? I'm sure, like, what I've shown here is just, like, kind of, like, in, like, a year or two is gonna be, like, basics, right? This is gonna just be straight basics, right? But, you know, that's kind of, like, the long and short of it. So, I'll leave you to it. I'll let you do what you need to do. Enjoy your day. Play more Spider-Man. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, yeah.